talk, but nigga, when you walk away. Oh, oh, oh. You talk, but nigga, when you walk away. You talk, but nigga, when you walk away.
I hear you talk, I hear you talk.
You talk, but nigga, when you walk away. Oh, 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 oh.
You talk, nigga, when you walk away.
Fly with the gun like my name was Space Area. The doctor see your wound to say, fuck it.
How's it going, everyone? This week I didn't see anything really too big. The biggest thing I saw in the news this week was the whole abortion thing going on right now, where a lot of your states are starting to wake up and realize that abortion is wrong and that it is murder. Someone had to stick up for these babies that have no voice, just like, you know, people have to stick up for animals that have no voice. The strongest argument that women could try to make is that it's their body and they do whatever they want. Once the child is growing inside of them, you know, it is a separate entity, and that child is not a part of their body. It's not a parasite, and it's not a clump of cells. It is a human living being, and it's growing inside of a woman. And it is separate from her. So that's not a part of their body. So that argument doesn't work. But it's all due to feminism. Feminism brainwashes women and other people into believing in a big lie. Lots of lies. Feminism is real bad about that. And it teaches women that there should be no consequences for their actions, for what they do. They shouldn't have pay any consequences. And feminine has literally taught women today that it's acceptable and okay to murder a child. And I don't see how women can, you know, live with themselves knowing that they're committing murder, being a murderer. It's plain evil, and they're okay with it. You know, stop using abortions as a way of stopping pregnancies. You know, be responsible. There's many ways to practice safe sex so you don't get pregnant. You know, and you can't blame that all on the guy, like the guy didn't want to do it and blah, blah, blah. No, you're just as responsible, you know, for it as they are. But anyways, that's the big thing I saw was the whole abortion thing. I'm pro-life, so I'm all for it. It's time to stop the murder of babies. Anyways, moving on. That's all I have to say on that subject. Paranormal shows. I wanted to speak a little bit about paranormal shows. I tried to find something on YouTube, and there's several rinky-dink paranormal groups or whatever on YouTube, but most of them I just absolutely cannot stand. They're so generic and terrible. But there are, I used to watch Ghost Hunters religiously. Like it would come on Wednesday nights. I'd watch it every time it come on. I loved that show. It was awesome. And once it got popular, it was like the TV. You know, there was all these reality TV shows flooding the networks with paranormal shows. Ghost Adventures, they came out a little bit after Ghost Hunters, and I tried watching them, but they were fake as fuck, so I couldn't watch them. They literally would act like 5-year-olds. You know, they're like every little thing freaked them out, and they ran away like scared little kids, you know, and it drove me up the wall trying to watch them. And there was a lot of controversy when they went to Ghost Hunters, some other show went to Ghost Hunters and asked them to look at footage from Ghost Adventures. And Ghost Hunters debunked some of the stuff that they were doing, that it was fake. And man, there was just because there were some, mostly the younger generation, that were fans of Ghost Adventures, and they threw a hissy fit, because they knew the show was fake, but they don't care. That was their show, and now Ghost Hunters are the ones that's faking. And they tried to constantly try to disprove Ghost Hunters, which they failed multiple times. Ghost Hunters, or TAPS. TAPS is a legitimate paranormal investigating team, so, you know, all the fans of Ghost Adventures can go screw themselves, because Ghost Adventures was fake as fuck. And it was a ridiculous show. But I tried to watch other paranormal shows, like Paranormal Witness and all that. Oh my gosh, I can't watch something where they're just rehashing or telling some story that they can't, you know, legitimize. You know, they can't prove or disprove that story. It was eyewitnesses' account. Well, you know, nobody knows this eyewitness from whatever. You know, I need to see hard evidence, you know, not just someone telling a story. It's all cool and all for the stories and stuff. It's interesting, but that doesn't mean that it actually happened. You can't prove it unless someone goes up in there and has that experience themselves. I started watching because I'd heard about it, and I decided to go ahead and start watching it. I started watching this Paranormal Lockdown. I don't know if any of you have heard of it. There's one thing I cannot stand about some of these paranormal reality shows. When the person goes in there and goes, oh, this place, it feels like I'm walking through molasses, or oh, I feel something heavy on my chest, or I can't hardly breathe, it's so thick in here, and yada yada yada, you know, I feel like something's here with me, you know, blah, oh my gosh, there's got to be somewhere around, you know, a presence, blah blah blah. Come on, give me a break, get off that shit. I hate that crap more than anything about any of the paranormal investigative crap. When they do that shit, like it's all about feelings. Fuck your feelings, you know. I don't care how you feel. I don't care if you're scared or frightened or whatever. You know, whoop-de-fucking-do. You're there to find concrete, hardcore evidence. Not to be reminiscent about how you fucking feel or how the place makes you feel. If it's creepy, whatever, blah, 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 blah. So what? It's creepy. Move on. Let's get some evidence. But yeah, I hate that with a passion. And this Paranormal Lockdown, I mean, there were a couple of them on Ghost Hunters that would do that every now and then, but not that bad. This Paranormal Lockdown, the Katrina woman, she's not really that bad about doing it. But that Nick guy, oh my God. every place they go into. Oh, I feel something. You feel that electric energy. Blah, 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 blah. And then he's so over dramatic when something happens. I mean, literally freaks out. You know, it's just insane. He's very over dramatized. You know, he's like a drama queen. It's horrible. I can't handle him too much. But I'm trying to push through it because I like seeing some of the evidence that they catch. That's the only reason why I've been watching the show lately. But I can't stand him. He drives me up the wall. I like their camera guy, Rob. That dude's cool as fuck. Yeah, I mean, he just, yeah, it was over there. Yeah, something bit me. Yeah, I think I'll call it a night. You know, yeah, he's cool as fuck. It's like nothing phases that dude, you know. It's crazy. I like that he's like that. He's like, yeah, let's go down there. That's where I heard that shit. It's right over there, you know. He's trying to figure out what's going on. And he's trying to get them to do it. And, you know, I like that. And, you know, he don't flip out and he doesn't freak out. You know, he's just calm as fuck. He wants to know what the hell's going on. But yeah, that's the one gripe I've had about paranormal shows. I hate that feely crap. And I don't believe in psychics and psychic mediums either. I don't know if you guys remember this. There was a show for a while where, and there's even been a prize where the guy says, I forget what the place was called, what his name was. He offered like $1 million or something if you could show actual proof that you're actually psychic or that you have psychic abilities or something. Anyone who's come up against him, they've proven false every time. Every psychic has been proven false. And most of them are con artists. So, you know, I don't believe in psychics and mediums whatsoever. And that's another thing I don't like when they try to bring on the show. One of these shows is like, you know, these psychics or mediums, so-called mediums, you know. I don't believe in that shit. Anyways, I'm going to push through Paranormal Lockdown and try to make it through. Some of it's interesting, but I just can't stand the over-dramatized Nick. He drives me up the wall. Alright, so that's enough of that. I'm just kind of curious to see what your thoughts are about paranormal shows as well. Leave some comments down below if you will. Let's move on to your B-rated movies or your cult classics. To all you movie-holics, let's do this. This first one, I was actually looking for a movie called The Time Travelers, which supposedly inspired the ones who made the show The Time Tunnel. It inspired them to do the show Time Tunnel. I couldn't find it. I looked and looked for it and I couldn't find this show. Instead, I found another show called Just Time Travelers. It was done in 1976. It was just a TV show. It was a story written by Rod Serling. You probably know him as the creator of The Twilight Zone. It starred Sam Groom and Tom Hollick. Basically, you had this doctor, you know, there's some disease going on, or some type of epidemic going on. They don't know what it is. And this doctor's having a hard time trying to figure out what's going on. Well, this guy shows up and he tells him, he says, why don't you come with me? Uh, we could give you an insight, a better insight into what's going on with this disease, so you can find a cure for it. And he's like, yeah, how are you going to do that? And he says, well, we got a way to talk to this guy from the past, this doctor that was supposedly working on it and somehow had found a cure back in the day, like the 1800s. And he's all like, how are you going to talk to him? Through his paperwork. And he said, well, just come with me and you'll find out. So he takes it to this place, and there's this other scientist there, and he tells him that he's going to travel back in time. And of course, the doctor doesn't believe him. But he goes along with it anyway, just curious to find out what kind of information they have on this disease. So they go back into time. He's flabbergasted, that they actually traveled back in time. Him and the guy that originally came to see him. They meet this woman who is the daughter of the doctor that they're needing to see, because he supposedly had to fight this kind of epidemic disease in the 1800s as well, and he came up with a cure for it, supposedly. Well, they find out he doesn't know what they're talking about. He just trying to keeping him comfortable. And he tells them about this wine he created himself that he gives all the patients to make them relax. Well, come to find out, the cure's in this wine or whatever that he created. They get samples of it. The doctor he gets the disease. He almost dies from it. But he's able to come up with a cure. And he cures himself, and he goes back into the future. And everybody dies in the past. And they get to the future, and they're able to make a vaccine and cure everybody. It was alright for what it was. It wasn't bad. It was actually basically a TV pilot. They were going to make a series out of it, and it just apparently it didn't turn out to be that way. And it didn't happen. So yeah, the time travelers, or just time travelers, it wasn't too bad. It was alright. Of course, Rod Serling did the story, so it wasn't too bad. It's a shame they didn't do more with it, but oh well. Sometimes that happens. The next one we're going to talk about is a classic from 1985. I'm not sure if some of you may know of this. Some of you may not. It's kind of cheesy. It was a cheesy flick, I'll admit. I rewatched it. I was like, boy. I saw this when I was real young. But I rewatched it and I was like, yeah, that was pretty cheesy. But it was a good cheesy. This one is called The Last Dragon. It probably broke a little over even. It made about 25 million domestically. So, it didn't do horrible, but it didn't do super bad either. You had this black guy named starred in it named Tamak. I'm not sure how to pronounce that name really. And then you had a woman named Vanity. She was kind of a supermodel back in the day. extremely beautiful woman. You also had Julius Carey. He's the one who played Show Enough, the bad guy, one of the bad guys. Then the main bad guy was starred Chris Murney, and then his girlfriend Faith Prince. Basically, the story is you had this young black guy. He's training in martial arts, and his master tells him he's pretty much learned everything, except for the golden glow. He's supposedly, when he reaches the ultimate become the ultimate master, he'll have this glow about him. He'll reach super enlightenment or some crap. But he's got to figure it out on his own. So the black guy, he doesn't quite accept it. So his old, I'm not sure if he's Chinese or Japanese, but his sensei tells him, okay, well, go find this guy. He's got all the wisdom in the world. He'll be able to help you achieve the ultimate goal. So he goes, okay. So he goes on a quest to find this guy. And when he gets back home to his neighborhood or whatever, there's this other black guy. He's kind of created like this martial arts street gang, and he calls himself Show Enough. He thinks he's the baddest ass in town or whatever, blah blah blah. He's after him. He wants him to fight, but the young black guy, he won't do it. While this is going on, there's he's not really a mob boss, but he kind of acts like one. He's this little short guy, and he runs this arcade joint or whatever, all these arcade franchise or whatever. And he does a bunch of like music videos and stuff like that. Well, his girlfriend, he wants to make a music star out of his girlfriend. He keeps making these music videos with her, and he's trying to get this black woman who she don't run, but she's a host of a television show that airs music videos. So he's trying to get her to run music videos of his girlfriend on her show, and she don't want to do it. So he keeps harassing her, and the young black guy, keeps stepping in and saving her because the mob boss guy keeps trying to threaten her. Eventually, he hires a bunch of thugs to beat or kill the young black guy, and one of them's Show Enough. So Show Enough and the young black dude, they get in a big fight towards the end. And he has some class of students that show up at the end of this movie trying to help him out against all these thugs. But they all go to jail, and the black woman's saved, and he has a little brother. He saves his little brother. Earlier in the movie, Show Enough threatens his family at a restaurant they own or whatever, and it's crazy, but it's a good movie. It's a really good movie. for being cheesy as it was. I mean, you have this one scene where he finally gets the glow, you know, and but just before that, he sees that Show Enough has his own evil glow, red glow. It's got, like I said, it's kind of cheesy, but it's a good cheesy. You know, it's a fun movie. The next one I want to talk about is that I watched was, I figure I'd go kind of kung fu with this one. The Man from Nowhere. It's actually, I didn't realize it. I thought it was like before 2000, but it's actually a bit after. It was done in 2010. It made about 43 million worldwide, so it didn't do horrible, but it didn't do like really great either. It just did all right. This movie started a guy named Won Bin and some girl named Se-ron Kim. Hopefully I'm pronouncing these names right. But anyway, this movie was a little strange. I had to deal with the interpretation naturally, but a lot of the interpretation, you know, the way they're talking, it don't sound right. Like they would say something, and when I'm looking at the interpretation, it didn't read out right. Like it wouldn't been like, and as an American, we wouldn't have said it that way. So it was kind of strange, and you know, you get the gist of what's going on, but at some points in time, it's a little hard to follow what they were actually meaning to say. There's this cop that's after him for whatever reason in the movie. It doesn't really explain. He's on this drug case and he's after him and this other cop. They're after these gangsters or whatever. And he gets the main guy, he gets involved because he owns like this little pawn shop in his building. And this little girl, it was like his neighbor or whatever, her mom's kind of a dope addict, so she runs around. She's usually stealing or something like that, you know. But he's kind of protective over her. He tries to help her out, even though he don't really want to. Her mom, though, she steals some dope from these gangsters or whatever, and it brings it to their building, and they kill her, and they go after the pawn guy because the guy who owns the pawn shop, you know, she gives him she didn't know she stole drugs. She thought she stole like some camera bag or something. And she tried to pawn it off. She pawns it off to the pawn guy. So now they're breaking into his place and going after him. He ends up killing him because he doesn't know what's really going on. Then they steal the girl. They kidnap the girl and get the bag anyway because they threaten to kill the girl if he doesn't give them the bag. And at the time, the mother wasn't dead yet, but you know, they threaten to kill her too. So he gives up the bag, and they try to kill him, and he kills a few of them. And he goes after them for the mother and the daughter, but you know, he finds out the mother is dead, and he gets set up. They tell him to deliver something for him to this one guy. It was all set up, and they're going to kill them all. He escapes. The cops show up, and they're after him now too. But eventually, he catches up to the bad guys. There's this one scene where he finds that they're using the children to they kidnap all these children. This old woman, she's keeping them, and telling them that they'll get to go home if they do what they say, but that's not what they do. What they end up doing is after they get so old, they go and harvest their organs and kill them. But they're using these kids to like delivery systems for their dope, and they've got an area where the kids are packing the dope, their coke for them or whatever, in bags and shit, and it's crazy that they're using these kids to do all this stuff. But anyway, he catches up to him. He finds them, and they've got this one guy. He's like a hired assassin. He's the main guy. He's got to fight. He's some kind of I don't know if he's Israeli, Pakistan, Afghanistan, somewhere around there. He's Middle Eastern. Anyway, he's got to fight that dude eventually. He goes to this. It goes to this one place. He finds this. It's these two brothers who are in control of the gang. And he goes to this one place after he kills one of the brothers, where they were making kids pack dope. He kills one of the brothers there, and then he goes to another place to face the other brother. And the other brother says he's killed the girl, and he took out her eyeballs, and he rolls this jar with 2 eyeballs in it, and it's the whole time they're fighting in there, the jar of eyeballs is rolling around. It's ridiculous. But eventually, the assassin dude, he destroys the eyeballs, and that dude goes crazy on him and kills him. And then he chases the older brother out to his car, and he ends up killing him. And then he finds out the little girl her eyeballs were never taken. She's not dead, and he takes her to some place where she can be adopted, and he goes away with the police, and that's the end of the movie. It was a pretty good movie. It wasn't bad. I thought it was okay. It was a little slow in some parts, and there wasn't a whole lot of action. There was a few action scenes, but not a lot of them. It was, like I said, it was okay for what it was. It wasn't bad for a kung fu flick. Though I thought it was nuts that, the bad guy and him, at the beginning, they both have the same type of haircut. And then the main guy, he shaves his head, his hair or whatever off. But I don't know what it is about that type of style. It's just funny that you're Chinese and Japanese. They all think that style of hair is really neat looking. It's just kind of goofy looking, but other than that, it was all right for what it was. I would recommend it if you're into kung fu flicks. Like I've said before, if you have any suggestions or a type of movie you'd like me to review and check out, leave a suggestion in the comments below, and I'll get around to it when I can. Thank you for watching, and I told you you'd be told the truth, and you just been told.